afternoon or good evening, everyone. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just for those who haven't been here before, few rules of procedure. We are recording the meeting, and the recording will be available online at go to city website, up in the upper right-hand corner, click on the little YouTube bug and get it there. Or you can go online, go to MCTV 20 Live, that's MCTV 20 LIVE, and search for Marion City Council. And you can get these meetings, and we encourage you to spread the word about that. And make sure you speak into your mic. If you are going to speak during any of the public comment sessions, you do need to come up to the table here, so you will have the microphone available to you. If you're a city employee and are special, and because you're near and dear to our hearts, we have your own mic for you over there, and you need to use that. And finally, please silence your phones, and we will get started with that. I'll call the meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda? I will tell you right now that we will not be having an executive session. Maybe Mark could explain that right out of the box here.
Okay, sure. We had the power outage, and I think the city attorney lost his computer power for the rest of the day. So we'll just do it next time. He didn't have the documents or anything printed that he might, or any information he might need.
So that change would be to pull number 9 out of the agenda. Otherwise, do we have any objection to the agenda? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve, minus taking out number 9.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? No discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. 5-0 approved. With regard to the consent agenda, let's just break it down like we have been. We have the minutes from last meeting. Anyone have any questions or comments with regard to the agenda? Oh, excuse me, the minutes. If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Call it move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that you, Tim?
Yes.
Okay, box of seconds. Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Approved, opposed, nay, and that passes unanimously. Warrants, $143,210.13 on for approval for payment. Any questions about anything under that caption?
Mine. Go ahead.
You first.
I would say mine's more just a question. Is this the last payment for the pool to the school district that we had on this one? That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
That was one of my questions. The other one was on page 5. Did we overhaul an engine on something?
Yes, we did. It was the 2007, you're talking about the
Yep. The
one
Williams
of the sanitation
service.
trucks. It had an oil leak, and they got in there and found some other issues with the water pump and things.
Okay.
Which vehicle was it, Mark?
2007 International Sanitation. It was one of the solid
Trash
waste
trucks.
trucks.
Got it.
Okay.
And then there was also the payment for the, for doing our budget. What is that at here? That
It was
was
on page 2.
on page 2,
That was the audit.
the audit for 21. So I thought that, so the total amount was $21,500 for the audit? Okay. And it's when they put together the budget, that was what was 2,000 or 25, yeah, 2,500, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just clearing up which those two numbers came from, make sure we were straight on that. Okay, that was all I had.
Anyone else have anything on that?
I did have one other one. I had those other two that they did as well. But on, I don't remember what page it was. There was a deal for Midwest Transformers for $31,201.88. Was that for the new apartments, or what were? It was a pad mount, two different.
It was 75 for tiles and then
Gotcha.
Okay, okay. That's all I have.
Okay, do I have a motion then to approve the, approval of the payment of the warrants?
I move we approve them.
Second?
I'll second.
Smith seconds. Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And it's passed. Payroll, $36,322.62. Anyone have any questions about payroll? If not, I'll make a motion that we approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. In absence of discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Folks, the matters that are on the agenda for discussion, or action rather, tonight, would include the whether to change the time that we lock the bathrooms in Marion Central Park, whether or not we enter in negotiations to sell property to the county out in the commercial area north of the highway. And I've already said we've taken the executive session off the agenda, so really just those two things. Anyone want to make any comments with regard to those matters? Okay, then we will move on. And let's talk about bathrooms. Great subject, always enjoy discussing those. When we met last week, Margot started it. She mentioned that there'd been some vandalism to the bathrooms in Central Park. There's been vandalism in Central Park since 1991 that I'm aware of. I mean, I think it's just a thing, but that doesn't mean that it's good, that we don't have to do what we can to address it. And so one of the things we discussed was right now it is, those restrooms, those bathrooms are open until midnight. And Zach can, well, why don't I just do this? Zach, I asked you before the meeting in terms of a best time to lock them up, and you jokingly said 5 o'clock, which would be, or maybe that was the worst time because that was shift change.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the worst time to lock
Yeah.
it, would be when we're doing shift change.
But
So-
other than that, is there, do you have an opinion as to what would be appropriate?
No, and like I told you, the only reason we left them open till midnight is because the park is open till midnight, and so it made sense to me that if the park is available, then all the facilities should be available. My only opinion about the restrooms being open is that they should, it probably is gonna have to change depending on the seasons, but, if we wanna pick a certain, time of day to do it, I would say once it's dark, we can probably lock them. But as far as like saying that at 8 o'clock they're locked, it makes no difference to me, but if we lock them at dark, that would be my preference probably.
Is that because that's when the vampires come out?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's
But
a
once it's
valid
dark,
reason.
those lights are on, there's lots of bugs there, it gets kinda gross, so.
Were there cameras? I know you said that you guys had ordered cameras. Did they come in yet to be installed?
Yeah, they got installed, but there was some sort of Wi-Fi issue, so we're gonna try and figure that out this week.
Come on, guys, you wanted this on the agenda.
I just, the comment that nothing good happens after dark.
I think it's after 2 a.m. or
Oh,
something
is it
like
after
that.
2 a.m.?
I always got told midnight. but-
Yeah,
Maybe it's
after
on your
midnight.
generation.
I kind of agree, Zach, with what you said. When it gets dark out, I think it's a good time. I don't think anybody needs to be, it's a safety issue too. And right now we're having issues with vandalizing, and that's my opinion.
Which they're locked for half the year in the wintertime anyway, right? They're never even available in the.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Margo, do you know when they stop unlocking them? But yeah, they're unavailable for a portion of the year.
The question was who uses the park at night? I guess that's whoever wants to, I guess. I mean, obviously kids hang out down there. There's no question about that. But kids are gonna hang out somewhere. I have driven by, and I'm going back to your thing, that I see this, in pitch black, or was it in the but I've seen a lot of people, a lot of families there in the evenings with kids and things of that nature.
My kids
So
are
I got
sleeping at midnight.
called over there for something not related to the bathrooms last night at 9, and there were 3 or 4 adults there, and there was a family with kids playing on the equipment still. Now, they left shortly after 9 o'clock because it was dark, but it's used pretty regularly.
I don't mind locking them at dark. To me, seems like that would, if we're going to change the time, that would be the time that would make sense.
I'd kind of thought, you know, in my head, I was gonna suggest 10 o'clock, at least that was a couple hours earlier, and that still gives you a little bit of time after dark, and then like you said, as maybe we get more into winter time, then, you know, maybe you lock them at 6 o'clock when it starts getting dark at 5:30 or something, but.
Well, yeah, we could certainly
Just to-
link a time change on that to daylight savings time or whatever.
Well, I think clearly the park's gonna be busier, you know, now in the summertime months is what it would be opposed to the winter. But I mean, I guess we need to try something, cause that vandalism keeps costing everybody time, money, and a headache, so. Do you think the cameras will help? It'd be much of a deterrent anyway?
I don't know if they'll necessarily deter because there were already cameras there, but we'll at least know who's doing it and we can
Right.
do something about it. Whereas right now, we're left in the dark, pardon the pun.
Right.
Where'd you install them at? Where are they, are they like,
That was,
it's a secret?
okay. So yeah, they're basically right on each door,
Oh, okay.
pointing opposing.
Gotcha.
I think 10 o'clock is a reasonable time. You know, people traveling through too, like for me with little kids, I always like to stop somewhere to use the restroom. That still gives plenty of time for anybody traveling through, families to still be out there.
I'll make a motion that we lock the bathrooms at 10 o'clock. This seems like it's a very long conversation for
Bathrooms.
locking of
We
bathrooms.
don't have much
in the
else to talk
park.
about.
I agree, but it was gonna take as long as it took for you people to make a decision.
Okay, there we go. I'm
I'll
making a
second.
motion to lock the bathrooms at 10 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay. So, Amy, you don't even get a chance to be a co-sponsor.
I
on
was
that.
happy with that. I'm happy.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So 10 o'clock. And in that regard, Margot, would you make a note to talk with me, and let's brainstorm a little bit about where and how we can make that publicly known so that if someone were traveling through town or whatever, that they know that there are public restrooms available in the park, that sort of thing. Okay, next is the question of the sale of the lot out north of town. And Mark, do you want to introduce our guest?
Sure, County Administrator Tina Spencer is here, and she could probably answer some of the questions, but the county contacted us whether we're interested in selling the lot up at 1240. That would be the lot on the north side of the building that they're currently renovating for the planning and zoning and some other uses. They need it primarily for parking and possibly a little bit of storage.
Tina, as you do to people now in your office, you have to come sit at our table.
And I might note they have currently the county building just to the east,
Okay, cause in,
the building they're renovating.
gotcha.
So our building is completely renovated and our offices have moved in and we're conducting business there, so. We just realized that when their staff is there, there's not really much place for the public to park. And so there's a vacant lot directly north of our property, and we also have, the property to the east, all the way to the backside there for our EMS station. And so we were just, the commissioners were interested in acquiring that lot behind our building.
What's your intentions for the lots behind the ambulance building now? Cause I mean, I was out there and that's a pretty substantial, you know, piece of property. Would that not work for I know it's not directly adjacent to it, but would that not work for your parking there?
It's not the preferred spot for it. we really haven't talked about the use behind the EMS station, but we do have a need for equipment storage. So at some point, there may be for emergency management equipment, not for like road graders or anything like that, but that might be an option for some of that behind the EMS station in the future. But the board hasn't discussed that.
Is there access currently from that back road for parking to come in from the back?
Yes.
That it's, as far as a drive or to get, there's not a ditch?
There's a ditch, but there's a culvert already
There's a
there, because
culvert
I just
already
drove
there,
out
okay.
by there before I came down. So there is a culvert there with some rock over it.
Tina, do you, and you may not know the answer to this, but would the thought process be to pave an area behind your renovated building or gravel that area
It's-
or?
The idea for now would be a gravel parking area.
Not the whole?
Not saying it wouldn't necessarily be paved in the future, but
Yeah.
there's also been discussion about potentially like just a very small storage shed for emergency equipment, overflow items, like just supplies, not equipment.
I'll just lay my cards on the table. I have no objection to it. I wish I could tell you that we have, businesses just dying to get that spot, but this area has been open for 30-some years.
Right.
And it's, I think our best shot of filling business spaces probably is on Main Street and maybe that's better anyway. But I just don't want it to be just random junk. Not talking about your car. No, parking's fine. You got staff, you got parking, even if it's parking for people using I don't care. I just would not, I would object if it were to become just here's a spot, let's drop this thing and it'll be there forever.
No, that's not the intention.
Any other questions or
We're
thoughts?
gonna retain the mineral rights in case they strike oil,
Good idea.
maybe.
And then
You laugh,
all of a
but-
sudden.
Then we have to do a
No, I'm joking.
severed minerals.
Our oil rig would be fine. It would look just
No,
great
it
there.
would be beautiful.
I mean, I guess that's kind of my thought too. I mean, originally the intention was to try and get businesses and stuff out there, and like you said, there hasn't been a lot going on, and I'm definitely not against the county and thankful to have the county seat and everything here in our community. But that's, like I said, I was just kind of curious what the intention was with all that behind the ambulance building. And then I guess maybe this is a question for Mark. So, we currently have where the Pizza Hut was and then the property right to the north of that's a little bit off topic, but I mean, are there regulations as far as what can be stored and parked out there?
We were looking that up today.
Okay.
That came up today. We can have that for your next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
great
Okay.
topic of
'Cause
discussion.
I mean, I went out by there just to kind of familiarize exactly where everything was there, and, yeah, so I was just curious on that.
The only thing that I was thinking, and I was trying to do some research, and I don't know, Mark, if you were able to find anything.
We looked through that. We haven't found it yet.
Okay.
We're looking through those boxes.
I thought that I remembered that there was a document somewhere that showed like a price that was associated with all these lots. The city had listed on them. And I talked with my dad and asked him if he remembered where it was or what it was. And he didn't remember. He said there was a map somewhere he thought that showed it. In my head, $5,000 is what sticks out. But that may have just been these ones that he thought maybe it was 5,000 on these lots that have more, what would be off commercial. So like in between Ace and where the new county building is
Like
there.
the highway frontage.
Highway frontage. It's not really highway frontage,
Right.
but that are right up against the highway.
Gotcha.
And then he thought maybe 3,500 is what they'd had him priced at the back. I don't have anything that shows that. But the 5,000 even stuck out to me somewhere. So that's my only comment. And I don't know for sure where that came from. We have
we
not
haven't
been able to
found it yet.
find
We'll look
anything
again.
yet.
So if the city has the property listed publicly for sale somewhere, at those prices, you know, I can always go back to the commission and see if they would be willing to pay that.
Sure.
Because we want to be fair to the city, but also if it's been listed at that price publicly and there has been absolutely nobody interested, then is that truly the market value of the
Right.
property? So we want to do what's beneficial for both the city and the county. So
I'm just curious, did you look up, see what it's appraised at?
it's appraised at $1,000. Last
Okay.
year, I believe it was appraised at
Okay,
600.
was that in your letter?
Market
'Cause I s-
value, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That was on that page.
Yeah.
And I would assume maybe this is something we could figure out too. I mean, yeah, I'm with you, Tina. I
Sure.
get it, right? There, like Mike said, it's been there for a long time and there's not
Right.
much out there.
Right.
I know that we have some costs tied up in now, however many years ago it was put in there, but the utilities that were put in out there, and I don't know what that amount of money, you know, what that would be for when those utilities were put in, the water lines or whatever it might be, but.
Just for the sake of moving the discussion along, does anyone have right off the bat, a negative thought with regard to one way or the other transferring that property over to the county? Anyone opposed to the concept?
No.
Amy?
No?
So really, it would just be a matter of what to charge, if to charge, that sort. Where I'm going with this is, we have talked in the past about kind of, I don't know if it's called a bartering system, but where, you know, the,
Government communication.
okay, government communications, very well. You've learned fast, haven't you? Well, the ability to, you know, if we help you with this, can you help us with that?
Right.
Were you hoping for an answer tonight?
Not necessarily. I mean, we're making do with just kind of parking wherever in that lot, but it doesn't look very nice and it doesn't leave a lot of space for people that need to come to the building to do business. So we would like an answer soon, but it doesn't necessarily need to be tonight.
As a long time worker in the public administration field, do you, top of your head, think of something that typically there in Emporia you would have traded Lyon County if you were in this situation? Or
Oh, there are
anything?
different times, like when we did the new radio systems, the county paid for the towers and we paid for our own radios. And they set some back in the '60s for the city, in Lyon County, we were in the landfill and the transfer station, but they took care of all these other needs. We traded, they run 911 for us and we have EMS. So there's been things like that for a long time. And on a joint road, we work with the county. If we're putting industrial park in, there's a county road. Historically, we got those funded with economic development grants. But we work with the county all the time.
Would it be unfair to you or to Tina if we were to ask you to meet with her and negotiate a proposal that could be put on our agenda in 2 weeks?
That'd be fine. I'd like to do that. That'd be fine.
Is it worth it over $1,000 though, or we just do it and?
Well, that's a good point.
That was
mean,
kind of my thought,
I'm
too,
not-
is it's not like there's a waiting
Our
list
memory
for
of
this.
things tends to not always be the greatest, so maybe if we just finish it and move on. Then we can't forget what we said we were gonna do or not do in the future.
The only thing I was trying to explore was whether there was something that would involve not charging them anything, but them agreeing to help with something. And
Mutually
I know that's, if we were talking about 50,000, that'd be a little easier to try to figure out what that is than 1,000,
Yeah.
I guess, but.
I agree.
Well, I have no objection, Tim. I mean, I was just trying to move the thing along a little bit here, so is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we do transfer it for the price of $1,000 to the county, or sell it,
Is there a second?
price of $1,000.
I'll second.
Mark, I believe that this was, the public was put on notice that we were gonna do this. I think last meeting we talked about it. Yeah, okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, Tim or Zach?
Is there anything else we have to do when we sell a property like this to post it or anything? I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so,
Okay.
no. I
Nope.
mean,
I'm not aware of anything.
yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Zach,
no
Zach,
discussion?
you said, you seemed to think that there was something written down where we had a higher value on those?
I thought, but again,
Right.
I don't know where it would be.
I remember hearing a discussion about that, unless I read it in the paper. But if I read it in the paper, that meant that somebody had a discussion
Right.
in the council meeting about what those prices were. But ultimately, this is not exactly me being a genius. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Right.
And right now, we got one buyer.
Yep.
And if something comes up in the meantime, we have to prepare the documents. We'll sure bring that back
Okay,
for the deed transfer
Yeah,
and things like
yeah.
that.
yeah, we'll have to do that.
Well, and the counties, the commissioners still need to take action to move forward if the amount is acceptable to them.
Oh.
So,
So I thought that was an offer. I'm going to go back to my days as a godfather. I thought that they were making a request of us.
Well, we
They're asking
are.
us to make an offer to them?
We are, but they haven't taken any action to make a purchase, which, so this is just a discussion. And we just suggested that that might be a fair price because that's the valuation that the appraiser has on it, the market value.
Tim,
So-
if I'm, correct me if you like this phrase differently, but I'm going to base, and that, it's obviously correct, Tina's right. Basically, what your motion is to approve the sale of that lot at that price if the county wishes to purchase it at that price.
Pending their approval. Yep, I will amend my motion to say it that way.
Can you
I'll
accept that,
second
ma'am?
that
Okay.
deal.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay?
Aye. Or nay, excuse me.
Oh, that was, seriously, nay? Okay,
Correct.
so 4-1.
Okay, I'll take it to the commission and then we'll get back with you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to the executive session that we're not going to have, and then into department, staff, and council member
Are we doing
reports.
the
Well, we
sewer
had the-
relining?
You missed one
Sanitary
there.
sewer
There's a
Oh, I
sewer thing.
jumped right, I'm marking things out, and I marked that out instead of marking out the sale of the lot. Yes, talk sewer, Mark.
This is a line underneath 256 on the north side of the park. We discovered a hole in it, and we had some sanitary sewer flooding. And so it needs fixed. We hired Mayor out of Goddard to come in and run a camera through it. They found the hole, it's like 2 o'clock in a heavy rain event. It caused some problems. And there's other cracks and holes developing. So we're gonna recommend, in lieu of tearing up the road, which is just as expensive and a lot more inconvenient. We got a quote from Meyer for about $20,333.80, and we think we can have that done in 3 or 4 weeks. We kind of tentatively put our name on their list to do, and they'll go from the manhole to the manhole, 352 feet. We estimate the clay tile in there is over 50 years old, and we have funds in the sewer division of the utility fund to pay for it. But this is the easiest remedy. Probably be shut down. Maybe the highway will be flagged for maybe half a day max versus closing it and having detours once you cut it up.
Oh, okay, you lost me then.
If you did a dig on it. If you didn't do
Yeah.
it this route, the other thing is to dig up the street.
Right,
And
and
replace
if
it.
you did that, that would be really
That'd be
problematic.
problematic. You'd have to detour.
But what do you
around
mean it
town.
would be flagged then?
Well, I'm not sure what they'll do if sometimes on a highway. I'm not sure how that's exactly.
Like
When
if they-
they'll run from manhole to manhole, they may have to do something on the highway in the morning for an hour or two.
If they have
I
to
just
go to
don't
like
know.
1-lane traffic or
Yeah,
something, is that what you mean?
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and which,
That'd be the worst case scenario.
given that that is how you get from one side of town to Marion than the other,
Yeah.
if that were to occur, I definitely want to make sure that they coordinate with the police
Oh,
department.
absolutely.
Because if it's like when school's in session, it might be such, we'd want just to have an officer monitoring that area the whole time, because,
Well, I hope to have it done by the end of June. They
Oh,
were-
the-
Yeah.
okay, well
3 to
then
4
never
weeks
mind.
When we're on their list, unless we take it off.
Then never mind, okay.
Are the two manholes that we're talking about that they're going from, are they both in the street?
I think they're both in the park,
They
the
are.
park's on the north side and the south side of the road.
But they're in, I'm sorry, I'm looking over your
Oh,
shoulder
oh.
back at the guys back there
You
too.
would
I
know.
saw them shaking their
Okay.
heads, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
They are out in the street, so that's probably
They
what we're
are?
talking about,
Oh,
and
you're
that
going this way.
they may have to shut it down to one lane.
Pretty much from Elm Street to Locust Street.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I was going north and south. We're going east and west.
East and west.
Okay. Well, then they definitely will have to work out
And
something
I
with,
think we'll probably, and you guys probably know this, but we'll probably have to coordinate with KDOT too
Absolutely.
on anything that shuts it
Okay.
down to even one, anything that impedes traffic at all.
so the question is whether Mark can go forward and incur that expense, keeping in mind that we're talking about that old orange clay pipe under there that was old when everybody but me was born. So can Mark do that?
I think it's a no-brainer,
Sounds like it's the best way to fix it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Meyer on the relining of the sewer line on Main Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trying to get to my, there we go.
Do you want me to include the amount in that
That's what,
motion?
well, I've got it upside down, but I'll get there.
$30.80.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll amend my motion
It's
to.
on the very bottom, last page.
Yep. To approve the quote from Meyer in the amount of $20,330.80 for the relining of the sanitary sewer on Main Street.
Okay, and I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I did.
Okay, second by Burkholder. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Unanimous. Okay, now we'll move on to counselor reports and staff reports. Rather than call each of you individually and make you try to think of something to say, I'll just ask, any of the staff have anything you wish to address to the council? Nobody? Okay. Janet? Mark?
Now, next meeting, we'll have consideration of a conditional use permit for the solar farm. And also, you guys have done a really good job of having the same company we just talked about, Meyer Specialty, come in and clean a third of your town every year, which is very good. They'll have an agreement before you, a third of the town this year.
No. Okay, we'll then go to council reports, and Amy?
I don't really have anything, I just thought Chingawassa Days went obviously over well and without a hitch, and I think everybody was respectful and yeah.
That was something I was gonna mention too. I thought two things. I know that every time we do Chingawassa, the city crews do a lot of work helping get the park and the community prepared for it, so kudos on that. And to the Chingawassa committee, from having been in their position, I know when you've got uncertain weather, and it is just gut-wrenching trying to figure out what to do. And at 2 o'clock on Saturday, I looked at the Weather Channel app on my phone, and it said 75% chance of rain, I think at 7:30 that evening, something like that.
Yeah,
And by that time, it was like nothing,
it was perfect weather.
yeah. So, and Landon is both a city employee and, oh, he's proud that he's an official, he's got his shirt on. So to both of those groups, please take our congratulations.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. Also, today the power kind of flashed on and off, well, for us, and I know it went out, and you guys responded really quickly, like really quick. It's kind of like a disco party in our house for a few minutes, and we didn't lose power though.
Okay, so I asked Mark this question, and he didn't have an answer. Janet's gonna say no, but we have the system that sends out either text messages or emails. I don't know what it is, text probably. Excuse me?
Code red.
It's red alert as far as I'm concerned. I told you, it's gonna be red alert to me. You can call it whatever you want. That we use for, I guess, emergencies. And if it were like an Amber Alert and there was a tone that, you know, somebody's like, oh, I gotta pay attention to that, that would be one thing. But here where it's just a message, I'm wondering, would it be worth at least thinking about using that to just convey information to the public other than something that's an emergency or a disaster, such as the power, it's not surges, but the power shortages today are the result of an animal and a transformer, and we're working on it and having to redo some, whatever you said, what was it? I can't hear you.
Lightning
arrestor.
arrestor.
Yeah, but that was not what you were flipping on and off. The breakers, yeah. And just so the public knows what it is. I don't know. That's not something I'm asking for anybody to do any action on, but
I think
We
that's a
do
great
send
idea.
out they get calls and messages on certain things, but we can start doing that. when we
like,
have
what, okay, what, other than,
Like if there's a holiday during the week, we'll send out what days their trash will be picked up.
okay,
We used it some when we were doing the
Tornado
strategic
shelters.
plan too, to remind people, I think we did anyway, to remind people to try and take some of the surveys and stuff. We've used it for some communication, more just communication knowledge type stuff.
Well, if people are calling in though to report it, it goes directly to you guys, or one of you's on call, right? So I'm also assuming you probably take a lot of phone calls in a period of time when you're trying to get stuff done, which it might alleviate that a bit by having something just put out publicly saying alert, power's out, unknown, probably 30 minutes. Just something that's out there so there's fewer people that's like, do I need to call and say my power's out? And then you guys are taking calls or avoiding calls because you're trying to get it fixed.
I think it's a good idea, because then people go on Facebook and they're trying to figure out who has power, who doesn't have power, where the outage is at.
Yeah.
And it can be directly, just sent to everybody.
now,
That's all.
Inspector, as a great legal mind and law enforcement expert, what fact can you deduce from the conversation we've just had?
I think it would be a good idea to send out the
Well, no,
alerts.
the fact is, I don't get the red alerts, and I need to sign up.
Yeah, you gotta sign up for
Yeah,
that.
I know, I
How do
need
you
to
do
sign
that?
up.
Can you do it online?
You can't
Call
just
down to the
randomly
office.
text numbers now, you know that.
And I can email you.
Is that something that you could put like on the city web page that you could
Is it on the city website? I don't
think it is.
know.
sign up for?
I don't know that it's on there to sign up for it,
Well,
but I think it says to contact the city.
Obviously,
if you want
my
to
my
sign up.
wife does receive the code reds, or whatever she said it was, but I just never have, but I obviously need to if I'm gonna be,
I was looking back through to see what type of stuff I've gotten from it, and here's
See, now we're
one
questioning.
from last October that says, we're aware of the power outage. Crews have isolated the problem and are hoping it won't take too long to fix. So it has been used
Yeah,
for
so that way
things
there's
like
something-
that.
Just
in
so
the
there's something
past.
out there, so they're not taking 20 phone calls every 10 minutes.
so I think, I'm not saying that, I don't want people to, like, if you say the sky's falling off and enough, nobody pays attention to you. I don't wanna do that, but feel free to use it for things. I just know as that was going on, I happened to be going in a couple, 3 businesses, and they were all about to pull their hair out.
Yeah.
Zach?
I had 2 things here. Let me get back and think. One, are we doing the work session next Monday? Was there ever a decision actually made on that?
We thought there were conflicts.
One
Okay,
person-
I couldn't remember how we had left it for certain.
We left it that you didn't wanna work, and,
Perfect.
Well,
Let's
we'll
leave
get
it
paid.
no, we're not having one then.
Okay. And then, yeah, just to go along with what you guys said, I was down in the park both nights, and it was awesome. I mean, somehow that park recovers from massive amounts of rain every year on Chingawassa, it seems like. I mean, we just get gully washers, and it's like an hour later, it's perfectly fine. It's amazing. So, and I saw a lot of out-of-town faces Saturday night that I did not recognize. So I think that's kudos to you guys on getting the bands that we get in here. That's Carrie and I were talking about it when we were sitting there in the park Saturday night. Like, that's something that's pretty special to have in a town our size. You don't see that around everywhere. So I think I know you guys put a lot of time and effort into that, but it's a really fun event. My kids look forward to it every year.
Kevin?
Yep. I'll say, like I said, the same thing. Just shout out to Ron and the rest of the crews for getting the park ready and the Chinga committee. I thought they did a great job. One thing I did notice when I was down there in the back of the park, and I talked to Jeff Harper about that today, that old merry-go-round, that thing needs some repair. Because there was a bunch of kids on that thing just going round and round, and Jeff and I talked a little bit today, so I think he was gonna look into what it would take. He said even the center pipe is maybe starting to rust a little bit, but like a couple of the boards were broke and some of the railings were bent, and
You can get
So-
a tetanus shot, like after you write on
I
that.
think, so anyway, they were gonna look into that, but
The thing about that old equipment is, like, my grandson is, I guess he's 6 now, and he just thought that stuff was the greatest thing in the world, because he lives in, Bonner Springs, Kansas City area, and everywhere he goes, it's all this safe, nice
Right.
stuff. And he thought those things were just
Element of danger
fantastic.
to it.
I
Yeah.
thought it was the greatest thing in the world when I was 6, and that was a year or 2 ago, so. Because it was there when I was a kid, so.
Who ran into the slipper slide? You said that real quickly. Was it you?
We have a suspect in mind.
Okay.
Is it salvageable?
Yeah.
Okay. That's I mean, those old slides
Yeah.
there's something cool to them in the merry-go-rounds. There's something cool
Yeah.
to them.
Yep. That was all I had, yep.
Tim?
I went down to the library. They had some water damage here in this last rain, and so I went down, and when I was down there, I talked to him a little bit about that, and so the old part of the building's, half it's got a sloped roof, half it's, I think, got a flat roof, so when there's a lot of water, it hits the walls and has to go down the gutters, so if there's anything plugging them up, where it's come down really fast, the water's coming in through the roof somewhere, and so I just investigated that a little bit. I know Tim and someone else had gone down there and was looking at the roof and everything, but it had done damage to the walls, to the sheetrock, the drywall on the walls, and the carpet, and there's quite a few books on the table that were damaged too. And this has happened on a couple occasions now. And there's also in the little area going to the new addition, the roof had some damage too. Whether it was from, I believe from this one, but some of the tape on the drywall is coming off, and that is pretty kind of significant damage to the drywall. So I was just curious, as far as insurance, I asked her about that and said when it happened previously, there wasn't enough damage for them to warrant a claim. But who turns that in? You do? Okay. So I was going to let you know we might want to turn that in, because I noticed there's quite a bit of damage there when it's all together. So
Tim, was that damage in the same spot where they had damage previously? Was
some of
it-
it was, yeah.
So it's kind of in that same,
It had happened. Where it happens, it's happening in the same place.
Okay.
But this time there was water definitely in all of those places. So
yeah.
anyway, that's all I had to report
Okay.
on that.
Just a couple of things. I will be making appointments to the zoning board next meeting, or nominating parties for the zoning board. And last week, or last meeting, we talked with James Masters about the building codes and updating those. And one of the things we discussed was maybe having kind of an educational, informational opportunities, so those, whether you're a developer or a builder or or whatever, you could get with him and talk about that whole process. He agreed that that would be a good idea and something he was willing to work on. But I talked to him last week, and given that what is his last day?
We're working on that.
Okay.
Right
But-
now, it's the middle of June, we're working
Yeah.
to extend that a little bit.
Okay, but even with a little bit extension, he's not gonna be able to get all that done. So just something that we need to make sure that we don't forget about when we get someone new hired. And assuming that person wants to go forward with that process, then we'd wanna make sure and do something similar. Anything else from anyone? If not, we'll go to the public forum. If you would like to address the council, just come up to the microphone. Anyone? No one? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.